Alright, so HTML format wrap line length, maximum amount of characters per line. So I'm not sure if you saw the last video that I did about the wrap attributes, and I also talk about this in the Prettier playlist. Prettier is a VS Code extension, by the way. So my philosophy is that code formatters should correctly format the code, but should not change how the code is visualized, right? And actually, wrapping lines of code like this code formatter is intending to do actually creates a lot of artificial errors that are really unnecessary, and you can just avoid all those errors, all those problems, if you make a clear distinction between what is code formatting and code visualization, right? So, for example, this code formatter is wrapping the lines at the 120 character mark, which means that it's hard wrapping this paragraph right here, for example, right? So it's setting a new line here, a new line here, a new line here, and a new line here. Well, I guess this here doesn't really make a difference because it's the end of the paragraph. But imagine this was a tag in which I actually wanted. Imagine that this was a tag in which these new lines would actually show up on the HTML page. I know VS Code has that covered because it has the HTML format content unformatted setting that allows for, you can define tags like these, pre-code and text area, where you don't want its content to be formatted. But there are other types of errors that happen not only in HTML but in CSS and in JavaScript and other languages, that when you hard wrap a line, you actually generate artificial errors. Anyway, by default this is set to 120, but if you set it to 0, you actually disable hard wrapping on your code, which means that I can now remove, and I have to do this by hand, which is kind of boring. And when I save this, it's not gonna insert those hard wraps. I can still visualize the code wrapped, so I can still enable word wrap, and I can still see that whole line without having to scroll to the right. Now, this is the distinction that needs to be made. Code formatters should not change how the code is visualized. They should focus on correctly formatting the code. If you want to do something like this, which means like the line is too long and you want to see it all, well, that's a job for code for visualization tools like this one, word wrapping. Anyway, these are my 2 cents in relation to hard wrapping code. So I'm going to leave this one with 0, meaning disabled.